What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, Create Space, link in the description box below. PayPal, Cash App, they also asked me to put it up, so I put it up. Thanks everybody for support. This video is entitled Stop Blaming Men for Your Choices. This goes both ways with men and women. I'm going to start with the men. When I get online, I see guys who are, some people might call them male feminists, or some people might say they have had an epiphany or a moment of clarity when it comes to quote unquote masculinity. And what these type of dudes do is they use themselves as a reference. Meaning, if you were a cheater, and I know what men do because I was no. You was a cheater. I know people men can be verbally abusive because I remember when I was no. You was verbally abusive. I knew, I knew I was a womanizer because, men could be womanizers because I was a, no. You was a womanizer. See, when you want to, a lot of times you got a lot of men out here who want to project that on all men so they can make it look like what they did was part of the norm. Oh, this is all men do all these crazy things. It's funny because, once again, don't blame men for your choices. Because what winds up happening is the things that men do that are actually good, we don't count those, right? And that's what people in general. You only remember the bad things. That's the thing. That's what stands out. It's not the good words. It's normally the bad ones. But when I see men doing this, it's like, no, bro, that's you. I don't want my daughter, to date people because I remember when I was that age. That's you. You knew people when you was your age that wasn't like that. You knew guys when you were cheating that wasn't cheating. You knew guys when you were abusive that wasn't abusive. You knew guys when you were womanizers that weren't womanizers. You knew them. You didn't hang out with them. So all of a sudden, now that you want to put that on everybody else, knowing you was part of a specific group. But you won't say that. Because what I hear is people who say they've reformed, they're different, and because they're different, men can be different. Well, what about the men who was already different from you? They was already different. They was different when you was making fun of them. They was different when you said they weren't real men for doing the stuff that you somehow got an epiphany about, and now you all sentimental about, and now you know it was wrong. These guys knew it was wrong before you did. But you act like they don't exist. When people say, you got people in positions of power that do these things and these other things to people, and oh my God, I know men can do that. Yeah. What about the other men who don't do that? You forget about those guys? Because you work with those guys also. You knew the guys with the bad reputations and you knew the guys with the good reputations. The question is, which outweighs the other? Because people will say, oh, it's a lot of bad guys out here. But what is your criteria for a good guy? Because what people don't want to talk about is people's criteria for a good guy is somewhat perverted. It's people out here saying, oh yeah, I want somebody like this, like that. So people who are half good, half not so good. And you want to bring all the good out of them and the other part is just don't exist no more. That's not realistic. But like I said, stop blaming men for your choices. When people have, people say, my father did this when I was young. The men in my life were like this when I was young. It's ironic to me and funny to me that the dysfunctional things that they say the men in their past did when they were young, they talk about it as if they didn't like it. But then they grow up and then they do it. Which means you can say, oh, I'm a product of my environment and this is what I thought was normal. But the vast majority of these guys don't say they thought it was normal. Some of them do. The majority of them don't. So when you are that type of guy, how are all men just like you when you chose to be that, when you were younger, when you were a kid, when you were a teenager, you disliked that. You were the antithesis of that. Now all of a sudden you became a grown man and became that, and now you're remorseful. That's interesting, because I'm personally in belief that you like that. You just ashamed of it now. Now, same thing with the ladies. Stop blaming men for your choices. If you wanted a bad boy, you can. These men are no good. You wanted bad boys. You dated bad boys. Your choice. You weren't good men because they were a bad boy. And I said this years ago. You know, who's into bad boys? Bad girls. So I don't know how you think you some good girl just happen to be with a bad boy. You happen to be attracted to him. You're the same. You're one of the same. Two sides of the same coin. You know, but it's men's fault that you made that choice. You know, if you want to be with a guy of a certain status, you have to accept what goes along with that status. And I'm not just talking about or insinuating the negative side. You might get cheated on to play. No, they might not have time for you. They might have other things to do, because to get that status, they were actually busy. So if they were busy, guess what? You're on the back burner. You know, you might come first, but work come first. So if you want food on the table, you want a roof over your head, guess what? That goes with it. So don't blame men for your choices. You know, I was listening to DMX today on Drink Champs, and he was like, you know, God, the Bible said they gave you free will. They ain't say they give you free choice. You know what I'm saying? So your choice is gonna cost you. You know, you have the free will to the intentions, but your choices ain't free. And sometimes you can use it in the flip side, because I might have used it out of context just now, where, you know, you might make a choice that you feel like, you know, you was already, you know, guided into or forced into. But if you're making a choice and you know all of the options, and you know the good and the bad, you accept the good and the bad. You can't, you know, say, oh, it's the men because I chose to be in this lifestyle. It's the men because I chose to be with these type of men. It's the men because, you know, I wanted to change him or this, that, and the third. You don't do that. Reason I was bringing that up is because, you know, it's entanglement season, you know. And a lot of people are tripping because when you tell a half truth, and this is what I don't like, because women do this a lot, you get your hands caught in the cookie jar, and then you throw a half truth, you know, and insinuate something out there that somebody else can be guilty too. No, don't blame men for your choices. You chose to do something. When you gotta speak in half words and half tones, and you gotta use, you know, cold language, you on one. It can be it's plain as day. You on one. When you're looking for the perfect sentence and the perfect, you know, words, you gotta define. Like, wait, what does that mean? Huh? You on one. So don't blame the men for your choices when you're trying to cover them up. Because if you wouldn't have to cover them up if you didn't make those choices. And it's not because it was man, and I did this in response to a man, and I did this because of a man, and I did this because men put me through. What about what you put you through? What about who you chose? What about the urges and impulses that you acted upon? What about those? Was, you know, that's your urges, impulses, your choices, and your decisions are also, you know, a man's fault? No. But I see this far too often where people like to blame men for their own choices. And what's weird about it is you won't give men credit for their good choices if they've affected your life. You don't hear people saying, you know what, I'm at this place because of the men in my life. I'm at this place because of a man in my life. I'm at this place because of, you know, the good choices of men who came into my life and they chose that this. You know, all of this talk is all negative, all a curse, all a somebody did something to me. It's all BS in my opinion. So, like, share, subscribe. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.